This one's wife. This is why she spouts shit about motherhood. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This one's wife likes telling everybody what a wonderful mother she is. She does this because her narcissism directs her to operate such a facade for the purposes of asserting control over the audience and for them to provide her with delicious, pure positive fuel by saying, "Isn't she wonderful? What a devoted, dedicated and doting mother she is. Well done, this one's wife." She also wants to portray an image of not only being a doting mother, but balancing that with the fact that she is a dedicated girl boss entrepreneur, and that it is quite the struggle and often overwhelming, but she shows fortitude and battles through to not only do the drop-offs and pick-ups in relation to her children and make them lunchboxes, even though she claimed she didn't know what a lunchbox was in the Billie Eilish video, but she also balances doing all of those maternal duties with running a company as well. Wow. And that image is put forward to cause people to admire her, because admiration is pure positive fuel. It shows that people are under control, and it provides her with her lifeblood. This is what her narcissism directs her to do. However, the problem that this one's wife has is that when she talks about these things, she inevitably invites ridicule. And here's why. Martin Robinson, writing in the Daily Mail, reports, "This one's wife has been ribbed for making the school run with a nanny on hand sound akin to climbing Everest and curing cancer at the summit." Working parents have lampooned the Duchess of Sussex for her earnest description of her morning routine with Archie and Lilibet. This one's wife also revealed she has used an amazing nanny for 5 years, Kelsey, who steps in when she has early meetings, after she admitted juggling work and motherhood had been very overwhelming. That is both admire me and a pity play. Feel sorry for me having to juggle such difficulties with a nanny to boot. The former Suits star told her friend Jamie Kern-Lima that she wakes at 6:30 a.m. and after getting the children dressed, fed, and to their 2 different schools, she isn't back at her £11 million Montecchio mansion until 2.5 hours after getting up. Wow! Is there an award we can give this woman? She truly is an inspiration to all parents around the world. She wakes at 6:30 a.m. How does she manage that? Does she have an alarm to help her? Or does she somehow battle on alone, disciplining herself, conditioning herself to wake at 6:30 a.m. And then she dresses the children, so brave, so stunning. She feeds them. There's no beginning to this woman's talents. And she takes them to school, not 1, but 2. She is a modern marvel. And she dedicates 2.5 hours to doing all of this. She manages to do this whilst a housekeeper tidies up after her. She manages to do this whilst a chauffeur drives them to the schools. She manages to do this whilst a nanny assists in looking after the children. She is truly exceptional, isn't she? Commentator and journalist Will Kingston joked as he shared the clip, stating, "This one's wife describes the basic duties of parenting as if they are akin to climbing Everest and curing cancer at the summit." Why does she regard it that way? Well, to her, it's seen as a massive achievement because remember, in the world of this one's wife, everything she does is newsworthy, unique and groundbreaking. This one's wife cries, the world needs to know about it. This one's wife breaks wind. She breaks wind like nobody else has broken wind before. This one's wife takes a dump. It's a dump to end all dumps. This one's wife has a thought. It is more thought-provoking than anything that Einstein ever thought about. That is the deluded ridiculousness of this beige monstrosity that is this one's wife. That she thinks her taking the children to school is something that is worthy of being given an award, that she should receive some kind of trophy or medal. While some have derided those who have been unkind about her morning routine, urging critics to leave her alone, the article continues, it's also been the source of mirth for some mothers and fathers with school children and jobs themselves. One working mum said, "That's the routine of all mums." Another questioned how long this one's wife routine was and said, "I have 4 kids, never used a nanny. I prepared their lunch boxes the night before. It took 30 minutes to get them ready for school, 5 minutes to drive them there." Another added, "Does she not realise this is standard for most working women?" This one's wife revealed her morning routine on Jamie Kern-Lima's podcast released earlier this week. She joked that instead of meditating each day, she much prefers doing lunchboxes for the children, along with a note hidden inside. "I wish I could say I woke up and meditated. I get up at 6:30 a.m. I have the monitors on, so I could hear both the kids. They get up at 7, so I give myself a little bit of time to either put on workout clothes, brush my teeth, get both of them up, I get them dressed and get them downstairs, make breakfast, and then if I haven't done their lunchboxes the night before, then do that. I love doing lunchboxes. It makes me very happy, and writing a little note in their lunchboxes. If I don't have meetings in the morning, then I try to do school drop-off. They're at 2 different schools, so that's a big circuit. So from 6:30 in the morning on drop-off mornings, for me, I'm not home till 9. And then after that, I'll just jump into meetings. And then on other days, I'll wake up and get them all set, and then our amazing nanny, who's been with us for 5 years, she'll take them to school for us. And then, we always try to..." Smiling, she added, "I know, that's morning. That's the morning. That gets you to 9 a.m. This one's wife talks shit routinely about motherhood. She talks about sending emails to her children every night, telling them what a wonderful mum she is and how lucky they are to have her. She hasn't done that. She doesn't do it every night. She perhaps has done it once or twice. I've explained in a separate video why she said that she does it every night. She tells us about how marvellous and wonderful she is getting through that 2.5 hours first thing in the morning before then going on and doing meetings. She says all of this as if it's a major achievement because, as I mentioned earlier on, in her world, it is. But there is a fundamental reason why she keeps chatting shit about motherhood, why she comes out with preposterous observations, why she makes it seem like she's doing something that's akin to curing cancer or climbing Everest, as the earlier commentator stated. And it's this: she doesn't understand what a mother actually is, because she isn't one. It's either the case, if some people are to be believed, that the children don't actually exist, and what you see in the pictures and films are hired actors. That's what some people believe. They're entitled to their opinion. You can form your own view as to whether you think that's legitimate or not. I think it's more likely that the children do exist, that they were born via a surrogate, and I think that this one's wife, like the typical self-absorbed mid-range narcissist that she is, has very little to do with them. I've explained why this is in a separate video, but essentially, once again, she can get what she needs by talking about what she does with the children rather than just getting on and doing it. And I sincerely believe that in relation to the children, Doria, Harry, the nanny, and other staff are the ones that do the majority of things with them. This is because this one's wife, having no emotional empathy, doesn't care about them. This is because this one's wife thinks she's far too important to be doing things like preparing lunch boxes and cleaning them. She'll leave it to other people. However, her narcissism, particularly as the passive-aggressive mid-range narcissist, needs her to be seen as a good mother. And therefore, rather than not talk about motherhood as a whole and just say, that's private, it's off limits, which would be the most sensible thing to do for somebody who has very little to do with the children. Instead, her misfiring narcissism causes her to talk about what she thinks being a mother is like, even though she doesn't do it. Remember, it is common for the narcissist, through character trait acquisition, the presentation of veneer, the presentation of a facade, to give the impression of something rather than not actually having the substance behind it. A simple example is the narcissist that, when first seeking to seduce you, claims to be a commercial airline pilot because that sounds good, and they bluff their way through it in order to draw you in, even though it's a lie. Some narcissists are particularly accomplished at telling these lies, that they have the cognitive function and experience and the type of narcissism to come across as very convincing. And indeed, these types of narcissists are often very effective con merchants. Other narcissists are less effective. There are holes in their story, but these are not often picked up on by the victim because they don't realize what they're dealing with, and they get away with it to an extent. With this one's wife, she doesn't really engage in any motherhood. She doesn't really do much with the children because it isn't to her advantage to do so. Her narcissism simply directs her to do other things and then says, but you can go and talk about what a brilliant mum you are, because that will enable you to present a facade, and through that facade you can control people and draw fuel from them. So talk about it. Don't worry about the fact that you don't actually do it. I, the narcissism, will fill in the blanks for you. Now remember, that thought process isn't going on in her head. She believes that she's a really good mother because the narcissism tells her that she is. And she just spouts this claptrap about motherhood, which anybody who is a parent thinks, that doesn't sound authentic to me. That doesn't sound correct. It sounds exaggerated. It doesn't resonate. And the way that she talks about it in such breathy tones, when if she were truly doing these things, she'd realise this is what most parents do. There's no magic in it. The whole thing about, putting notes in their lunch boxes and the rainbow fruit platters and all the other stuff that she goes on, it's an idealised image of what she believes being a mother is like, as if it comes from some Hallmark movie. And the reason she chats such shit about motherhood is because she's not actually doing it. She's not actually living it. It's like getting hold of somebody who isn't a parent and saying to them, right, talk about how you look after your children, but you've got to pretend that you've got them. So talk us through a day of looking after the children. Now, that person may know a bit about childcare from hearing from relatives, from what they might have seen in the news, on television, picked it up sort of through osmosis. So they might be able to cobble together something. But to anybody who is a parent, they would soon listen and think, this doesn't sound like it's legitimate to me. There would be mistakes, there would be errors, there would be embellishments, and you would therefore be able to see, I don't think this person is actually a parent. I think they're making it up. And that's what's going on with this one's wife. She is a parent. She just doesn't parent. She does very little of it. But her narcissism demands that she shows to the world that she is this loving and wonderful mum. And therefore, it causes her to invent the details. And the details are either incongruous with what parenting actually is, or she makes it sound like she's doing something so marvellous because she doesn't realise, because she's not actually doing it, how mundane and humdrum it is and how millions of other parents do all of this. This one's wife chats shit about motherhood because essentially her narcissism is seeking to invent the details because she's not actually doing it herself. Do you agree with this assessment? Or do you think she really is a hands-on mum and she gets in there and it's just her unfortunate way of describing it that causes her to come across so inauthentically? Let me know your comments in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.